Welcome to Intelligent Human Leadership, leading yourself and your team. Do you ever find yourself grappling with a lack of confidence in your team? Or battling the relentless waves of concern and fear? Are the pressures to meet client expectations and the burden of missed opportunities weighing you down? On this podcast, you'll discover the strategies and insights that will reignite your team's morale and help you find the harmony and knowledge you seek to propel your business forward. Here, we explore innovative ways to reignite your creative spirit and achieve greatness, empowering you to lead with intelligence, compassion, and resilience. If you're ready to dive deep into your core of leadership challenges and be guided toward success, here's your host, founder of Steward Your Business, David Carr.
So, welcome back. This week, I got back from a monthly mastermind group that I'm a part of as a Wake Up Warrior trainer. One of the things we do is we meet up every month for what I call a 2-day production workshop. And so I thought it would be interesting for you guys to pull back the curtains a little bit and see what we discuss in these meetings. And there was a concept or a statement made that a lot of trainers, and I've faced this myself as well, tackled this last week. The idea of your ego getting in the way of opportunity. In fact, I even made a little bit of a quote on my Facebook, Instagram accounts. You guys can follow along there. But get your ego out of the way to see the opportunity. And how often does our ego trip us up to where we can't see the opportunities before us? This is vitally important as a leader, particularly as a business owner or as you're leading a team, yourself, a supervisor, you're in a project management role. This is really important to be able to see the greater opportunity before you. And I find, thankfully, as you get older, this hopefully becomes more apparent, not always, but I found in my younger days, I didn't see the opportunity as often as I could have now that I look back and have 20/20 vision, as we say, looking back in hindsight. But in the midst of it, in talking with other trainers and challenges we have in making pivots, making decisions, particularly when we're in a place of goodness, and there's a move to greatness. There's an opportunity for something greater. There's something that could be moving us further along to where we actually really want to go. But our ego is saying, hey, hold on. I'm not ready to go there. That is going to challenge me. That's going to make me feel maybe a little uncertain. But the reality is here, as we can get our ego out of the way, we actually have a greater opportunity at so much more in front of our lives. And so this concept or idea of the ego and opportunity and where do you land here? It's really important to know this. And again, kind of a through line, if you will, through this whole podcast is to know yourself well, to lead yourself and to lead others. Do we know our own tendencies? Are we really self-aware here? And so as I sat there in this room with just some amazing trainers that I've gotten to work with and train with, some for honestly a couple of years even, there's challenges that come before every one of us. And our ego is quick to protect us. It's quick to defend. It's quick to make excuses or reasons why we should stay where we're at. We've achieved some level of success. We have felt positive about some of the things we've done in our lives, and these are not bad things. But what's happening is it's trapping us, if you will, in the known, preventing us to going to the unknown, which could be so much better. So And when we live this way, and if we're letting the ego take over to this area where it's preventing opportunity, we are likely to fall some pitfalls here. Number one, we're limiting ourselves. Number two, we then may be limiting others in our life, our teams, our spouses. For example, many years ago, I had very much a scarcity mindset, self-preservation. My ego didn't want to let my guard down. And my wife would make a statement, oh, wouldn't it be great to have this house or go on this trip? And I'm like, we can't afford that. We can't. No way. I was very much my mindset was not there. And my ego was trying to protect me from being let down, to be being disappointed in that ego-driven decision or choice on my part was limiting me. Limiting the ability for me to see, to dream, to imagine what could be. And so we put a cap in it, if you will, sometimes. And so I'd ask you the question, are you aware of that even? Maybe you have this idea that you've limited it. I can only make this much income, or I can only make it this far. And so this is so important to realize where our ego affects us in our external world. How we look at the world, how we approach it, right? And like I said, this just spills over into team dynamics, whether it's with your spouse, with your team members you're managing. It could be up or down in the leadership world. And if we're not able to handle that, we may have ego clashes, if you will, that could be avoided. And it's important not just recognizing yourself. You might recognize this in others candidly. Sometimes we can see where there is self-preservation or there's a way of being. Oftentimes the ego can help us and be positive and strong in some areas. But often I found as I've leaned into that more, I recognize that there's a certain place where the ego trips me up and I don't leave room or the ability to have others come in. And so understanding this about yourself and realizing, can my ego be put to the side here? Can I be listened? Can I be coachable? Do I not have to have all the answers? That's going to help you in your growth and ability to see great opportunities. Here's the reality. If you know all the answers or you're shutting things down, people aren't going to come to you. They're not going to present ideas. They're not going to present innovative ways of being, right? They're not going to be able to provide that to you because you're close to it. And so your opportunity to grow, to develop is limited by your own design. And this is the crazy thing. We can have amazing experiences and grow, and then we can put like kind of a self-limiter on ourselves. This is nothing new under the sun. So what I'm sharing with you is just real world insights about how I've applied it, how I've learned it, how I put it with other folks that I coach, right, and guide. But this goes back thousands of years for those of you that maybe have followed the Bible. And there's an area in the Old Testament, in the book of Exodus, they talk about these people, the Israelites, leaving this slavery. They're under this Pharaoh that has controlled them and literally imprisoned them and made them slaves. They've been free. They get out of that area. But what happens is they wander the wilderness for 40 years because they're not in a place. Their ego says, I can't go into this next land because there's stronger people there. They've got the control. There's no way we can go in there. I'm like, but they left this place where they were slaves. They were imprisoned, if you will, got out of there. God provided a way for them. And then they land in this other area and they can't get to the promised land. There's a beautiful place of milk and honey and all these beautiful things because there's giants, there's other people there, and there's these stories. So the ego is self-preservation. So this is nothing new under the sun when I share this with you, but I want to encourage you to get at this, understand, and become self-aware. As you become self-aware and awaken and understand where your ego is in place it's not a bad thing, meaning it's there to watch after you. It's there to help you, encourage you, give you confidence, but it's also can be a limiter and putting the brakes, if you will, on your opportunity and growth and development. And so this is key as you're growing in your career as a professional, as you work your way up through leadership and collaboration, is to be mindful of this and seek ways that you can cultivate self-awareness, that you can manage your ego, know yourself to lead yourself, be self-aware, be others aware. How are they showing up, right? Being task aware. And so seeing where you're at and the gap to where you want to go. So how do you even know where you want to go? Well, you have to look where you're at. You have to assess that and realizing there is a gap. And is my ego going to limit me and try to stop me and keep me in this place? Or can I overcome the ego? Can I get the ego out of the way, the self-preservation, the what is known to the unknown? As you do this and you transform yourself through self-reflection and ego management, this fosters a growth mindset. And this is part of the program that I do in the Steward Your Business, Steward Yourself program. We just start with mindset. It's mindset first. It's understanding yourself, right? And then leading yourself well. And then you can understand your team better and lead them better. And these just layer on top of each other. As we do this, we affect ourselves externally in the way that we're showing up. We accept ourselves internally because we're leading ourselves well, right? We're understanding our voice better. I've talked about that in the past. And we can then make better decisions. Particularly, you think about ethical or philosophical decisions on how we're going to show up, right? And so how we embrace virtue and how do we embrace, instead of moving out of these egocentric leadership ways of being, right? And there's all different ways. I mean, I'm here based in California, and I've learned different philosophies, both Eastern and Western. But the reality is here, I don't really care what persuasion you are on, religions or other things there. As a human being, as a human experience, we recognize how our brains work. That's what I love about science. I learn about this and then how it infuses with the way we approach the world. Our brain is taught to limit risk, limit energy, but oftentimes it trips us up in that way. Are you creating a space to where your ego can get out of the way and you can actually dream, envision, imagine? Here's something that I realized over particularly last week and just over the course of my life, 50 years here on this earth, is are you creating a space or a container even that you can allow the ego to be put aside to dream dreams, to create visions, to see what's possible, right? Because if you can't even see what's possible, there's no way for you to move into an opportunity. This is so important that you lead by example here and that you can overcome the ego. You can overcome that limiting way of being. And I mean, how many of you guys, come on, how many of you have experienced this where you're trying to show the opportunity to somebody? Like, this would be a great experience. This is, and truly in your heart of hearts as you share this with a person, it's not just, what drives them, again, is you know yourself and you know your team, you can lead them better. You know that this would be best for them. This is much like, as if you're a parent, I'm a parent, I've got 2 teenagers, hey, this would be really beneficial for them. So that you could at least lead by example, saying, this, because it's not about your ego, whether they do it or not, right? Whether they take the opportunity, that's inconsequential to you, meaning you're not hedging yourself. You're not attached to that opportunity, meaning if it's not for you, especially when it's for somebody else, but you recognize the opportunity, how beneficial it would be. And if somebody could get their ego out of the way and take advantage of it, how much better they would be, because you lead yourself in that way, right? You understand that is so powerful. Because I can, the difference, right? When you have an opportunity, but you're attached to that opportunity, and you're like, well, I can't do this opportunity, and somebody else has got to do it. but you're like, if somebody doesn't do it, I'm going to feel bad. And I don't, I can't save everybody in this podcast. Like I like to say is like, this podcast can't solve everything in this podcast, but I can give you ideas and I can plant the seeds and I can give you some information and wisdom, hopefully, that you can take and apply to your life. But at the end of the day, it's you that take it. It's you that apply it. And if your ego is too big or there is no container for it, it's like, having a cup full and it's just spilling out over. You're not able to contain it. So what we want to do is help you as a leader, right? Expand your capacity. Expand your capacity and or could be both. Let go of the ways that you were being and showing up. Letting those go. There's two ways. There's ways you can expand capacity. We can literally build out more, which is really what we want to do. But another part is removing or extracting or letting go of what has been. So here's the thing. As you may have had great success over the course of your career, and what got you to where you're at now isn't going to get you to the next step. So the reality is you have to let go of the things that you have been doing, at least some of them. You're not going to be doing all of them. And this was really critical for me. I'll give you a specific example. Coming into a company, one of the companies I worked for, Bargus, great company. Give you a shout out, Angela DePoli, who hired me and brought me on as a chief operating officer. And one thing we realized as a small company, as we grew that company, was my role that I came in originally as a COO, which at the time made sense, but then it evolved because that wasn't quite the need, and the company grew. I was the director of biological resources. I ended up being kind of that shifted again, and I shifted into more business management and mentorship. If my ego held to the fact that I should be the C-suite officer here of the operations, or I should be the director of the biological resources, and I held so tight to that, I wouldn't be here with Steward Your Business and the Intelligent Human Leadership podcast. Such a great opportunity opened up because of my ability to let go. My container opened up, and I was able to get to this place. For some of you, you may end up opening up your own company, and you never would have thought you could have opened up your own company doing, architecture, engineering, construction, biological resources, cultural resources, whatever the case might be, right? You're like, man, I could do this. It's not for everybody, but I believe we need more entrepreneurs in the world. We need more visionaries. We need more people that are willing to step out and see what can be. So if you're feeling on your heart and you're like, man, I'm feeling it like I really should, but I'm not sure if I should go. That's your ego holding you back. There's a great story I want to share here. One of my colleagues, Scott McLeish, shared this at our mastermind last week. And just an amazing man. I'm very honored to know him and be a part of the Warrior Trainer and be a Warrior Trainer with him. But he shared this with us in the trainers, and then this vision kind of came to him. And he saw this sword before him in this vision, and he's talking to God, and he's in this vision. It's like, hey, here's this voice saying, pick up this sword, and he's like, I can't pick up this sword. He's finding an excuse, right? A way of protecting himself. And the voice comes back, well, I didn't ask if you could. I said, the question really was, will you, not if you would, will you pick up this sword? And again, respond. And it's not for me. I don't know how to pick it up. There's excuses. Well, I didn't ask if you could, or if you think you're honored or you're honored. I'm not honored to pick it up. That wasn't the question. The question is, will you pick up this sword? And so there was this back and forth interaction, and I'm not doing you justice, but Scott, if you listen to this, you know that I appreciate you. But the idea was, it wasn't if, all these excuses, it was just, will you pick up this sword? And so then he realized, yes, he picked up the sword, and he was able to do that. He let his ego out of the way. He had all these excuses. And there's so many more stories like that where people are asked to do things, and they're like, who am I to do this? Where am I to go? How am I qualified? These are all things that the ego is throwing up prevent you from taking action that you know you need to take. That's why I created this podcast and my company, because I want to help people get unstuck in self-limiting beliefs and understanding where their ego is tripping them up, and to help you in continuous growth and development, help you can be in a state of becoming the most intelligent human, the most powerful person in the room, because you know who you are and you know what you're called to do, and you let your ego get out of the way and you move to the opportunity. What happens if we don't move to the opportunity? Well, others may come, or there just may be a loss. It may be a lost opportunity, and we don't want to have lost opportunities here. We want to take them as they come and be advantageous. We want to jump on them, right? We want to look at those opportunities and be able to go and succeed and embrace them. Whether that's applying for a new position, whether it's seeking other development in yourself, knowing that you need this. That's what I really want to encourage you on. As you know yourself, to lead yourself, ask yourself the question, is my ego getting in the way of my opportunity? And what can I do about it today? Well, that's the beauty of the podcast here. You're listening and investing in yourself, investing time to know yourself better, to be aware of this. There's tools and resources that I curate as part of the Steward Yourself coaching program for individuals. I also meet with companies as well. And if this is resonating with you at all, I just encourage you to reach out. That's why I have this podcast. It's for you. It's for you to invest in yourself, to know yourself better. It's an invitation, not an obligation. That's important to me. You're not obliged by any means. I'm so grateful that you've taken time to listen here, that you've let your ego be put to the side to learn and to become a more intelligent leader, to lead yourself and to lead your team, right? This can be so impactful. Even if you're just leading one other person besides yourself, as you show this, as you let the ego aside, you're inviting innovation, you're inviting opportunity, you're inviting feedback, that others can speak truth, hopefully in love, but truth to you, and that you together, this is the beauty of what I love leaderships and teams, because you're so much more powerful together than you are individually. You can make a lot of progress by yourself. I didn't get here by myself. There's so many input and support from so many that has helped propel me forward. They've helped me to see the opportunity before me. And I want to encourage you to see that opportunity. Don't miss out. Again, if you're feeling that on your heart, you're feeling that, man, I know that there's something more and I haven't taken the move yet. There's some limiting belief or something on my heart. There's something that I'm just holding back, and I know I need to go. Well, you have an advocate here. Here you are in Steward Your Business with David Carr, the Intelligent Human Leadership podcast. Here is a way to help give you that nudge. If that's what you needed today, take the nudge. And I'd love to hear from you. As you listen to these episodes, please share, comment. It's so valuable to me to know what resonated with you, because as I share these things, I'm pulling from the depth of my experience and of over 50 years and working in this industry for over 25 years, the AEC industry. I want to pour into you and make sure that you know you have an advocate for you. This is David Carr of the Human Intelligent Leadership Podcast. I'm grateful for you to join me. Please follow along, subscribe, and all those good things. You can find me on all your social media platforms. I would love to connect and hear from you. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Go seize the opportunity and have an amazing day.